Nice compliment there from one of her peers as she was coming up in the poker community.
Blinds are now at 15 and 30,000. Annie with ace king raises to 80,000. 8-6 suited for Seidel.
That's a lot of money.
He'll call.
And made a little comment before doing so. All those sorts of things could narrow his hand range in Annie's mind.
Annie pairs her king. Eric with the flush draw. He checks.
Real good looking flop for Annie.
Annie bets 100,000.
I'm all in.
Eric goes all in. Duke snap calls.
Here we go.
All in the crown feature table.
And you got the ace of spades. That's very slimy.
Once again, I can only get my money in good.
And we're all in. Ace king, top
The
pair,
texture
top
of the
kicker,
board
49.
allowed Annie to make that quick call. Obviously, she has a strong hand, but there's so many draws on the board. You know
Here's
Eric
the
would make a
turn.
move like that with one of them.
Turn
Jack of
pairs the
hearts.
board. Seidel still searching for a spade, or else he's down 1-0 in our best of 3.
8 outs
Here's
once.
The ace ices it, and he fades the spade, and her 2-pair takes the first of our best of 3 finals.
It's too tough.
Oh, good.
Much too tough.
It's been fun so far. Can we stop now? Can we stop now and not play anymore? Because I don't know if I can repeat that against you.
Yeah, you're really tough.
You're happy with how I'm playing?
Well,
You're happy with how I'm playing?
yeah, playing great. Outplaying me every hand here.
Oh, man. Okay, I got one on the board.
It's going to be a tough job if we play a long game.
I apologize.
I have to watch you bluffing every night.
I haven't bluffed yet, except when you caught me the one time.
Very difficult gal.
Sandy Duke wins match 1.
Okay, I got one on the board.
Duke in the lead, but it's still best of 3. Match 2 of the finals next.
Welcome back to Caesars Palace and our National Heads Up Poker Championship final match. Annie Duke won the first round of this best of 3 slugfest, but it seems like Eric is in no mood to lay down easily. Good luck, guys. Let's get the cards in the air.
Chip stacks and blinds reset here for match 2. Each player with 640,000 in chips. Blinds at 3 and 6,000. Does Eric have to make any major adjustments, Ali?
Not really. I thought he played well in that first match. Getting Annie off those 2 jacks was simply incredible. A little more of that craftiness ought to work.
All right, finally I got you.
Eric gets a walk.
Eric might play a little conservative at this point, considering he's down 1-0. Or he might just let loose. After all, you got nothing to lose, right?
Besides that 500,000 in a title.
$250,000 to the runner-up, worth mentioning.
Queen 10 for Eric. He raises to 15,000.
Annie just gave Eric a walk. That's something, again, that we haven't seen a lot of from Annie in the tournament. You typically want to play the pots in position, but when your opponent plays so well out of position, like Eric does, you tend to tighten up.
Eric flops a queen. Annie with the open-ended straight draw. She checks. Eric bets 15,000. Annie raises to 45,000.
Playing the draw aggressively could be a product of being up 1-0.
Eric calls.
She knows she's got a buffer zone here in case things don't work out.
Seidel adds a gut shot straight draw. Annie bets 75,000.
75,000 on the turn.
Eric probably thinks he's still got the best hand. Can't be sure, though.
Eric calls.
Can't lay it down, don't want to raise. And in case he doesn't have the best hand, the jack is a definite out.
River
Where's the
pairs
nine?
the board. Seidel's queens and
Any
nines
checks?
best.
Eric checks.
Both players check. And Seidel takes a substantial pot.
Eric shows a
I
pair
need
of
you to make
queens,
2
queens
pair.
and nines, takes the pot. Big pot for Eric Seidel.
Annie shutting down on the end there. Unlikely to have gotten Seidel off of his hand.
Putting the heat on. Jeez Louise.
I was up and down, dude.
Annie keeping Eric uncomfortable.
Oh, gosh. All right, where are you buying me dinner? Better be something super fancy.
Annie Duke has the 1-0 lead, but if anyone understands that the heads-up world is unpredictable, it's Annie.
Well, I mean, I think you always have to realize that the tournament's over only when you play the last hand.
It's a 3 of diamonds. Paul Wassinger doubles up.
This game is evil.
Kind of is in the same category as when people win a hand in the middle of a tournament and they start celebrating.
And it is a 4.
And it's like, but that's not the last hand of the tournament. Like, why are you celebrating? And I think that once you get in that mindset that there shouldn't be any celebration, even in your head, until the last hand, then sort of getting through those things become a lot easier.
It's a 4. Annie Duke has made the final table.
Annie may have an even keel, but she feels all the same things anyone else would at a poker table. Difference is she's just disciplined enough to hold it in.
Seidel up 282,000 in chips. He looks at 8-5 suited and limps in. Ace-4 for Annie.
10 more thousand.
She raises to 16,000. Quick call from Eric.
Annie's definitely checked with a hand like that out of position at other times earlier in this event, clearly mixing it up here.
Jack Queen Trey misses both players.
The fact that she's raised before the flop now compels her
That's
to stake
19,000.
ownership in this pot.
She bets 19,000.
Raised to 55,000.
Eric raises to 55,000.
This is where Seidel is so good. He knows that 2 out of 3 times his opponent is not hitting a pair there, but they're going to continuation bet. He's exploiting that. Doesn't even matter that he has 8 high, just taking advantage of the situation. So tough to combat.
Annie with ace-king. Raises to 16,000. 8 deuce suited for Seidel.
And a call.
He calls.
Eric clearly not wanting to give away his big blind.
Duke flops top 2. Eric pairs his deuce and checks. Annie bets 16,000. And Eric calls.
And a call.
This is interesting. Clearly, Eric is not automatically giving Annie credit for an ace or a king in her hand just because she's raised pre-flop and then fired the continuation bet. And now he's picked up a flush draw to go with his deuces. Yet checks again.
Annie bets 32,000.
Definitely never checking in this spot.
Call 30.
Another call from Eric.
I could see Eric having led the turn. I could even see him having tried to raise Annie off her hand here, but picks the best route.
Annie's aces and kings still good
60,000.
after Seidel checks. She bets 60,000.
If Eric's not giving Annie credit for an ace or a king, his hand is probably good here. But he's not going to give her credit for a 3-barrel bluff. Pass 128K Annie's way.
Annie Duke raking in a big pot and just 1 win away from claiming the 2010 National Heads Up Poker title. Coveted jewelry, the 2010 championship ring, courtesy of JohnParadisoJewelry.com.
I think I've only had the best hand once this round.
You're saving it for the later spots.
Yeah, right.
Smart play.
It's hard to play against someone who's really good when you never have a hand, when you just don't flop anything.
Very smart to save it for the late.
Right.
Blinds now at 10 and 20,000. Eric up almost 2-1 in chips. GoDaddy.com pocket cam shows Seidel's 10 deuce.
Still plenty of play to the stacks in comparison to the blinds.
He raises to 50,000. 10-8 suited for Annie.
50.
She calls.
Got the best of Eric in this spot, heading to the flop out of position.
Annie makes her 8. Seidel pairs his deuce.
Neither player wants to get any chips in on the flop. There's a big card on the turn.
Trip deuces for Seidel. Annie bets 50,000.
They get 125,000.
Eric raises to 125,000.
These are the types of raises that a player like Eric Seidel makes with or without a deuce, 8, or a king in this spot, just looking to play the situation and pick off a potential bluff on the turn by Annie.
And that's a call.
She calls.
And it makes it so much tougher for Annie to lay hands down in consideration of that fact.
All right.
4 of clubs. Annie's 8 still trail. She checks.
180.
Decision time for Eric.
Clear to 180.
$350,000 in the pot.
Total bids
He bets 180,000.
Just about half the pot.
I mean, I don't know what to do. I can only beat a bluff here.
Annie realizing her dilemma.
And a call.
She calls. Seidel's trip deuces are going to cripple Annie. It looks like this best of 3 finals destined to be determined in the rubber match.
Annie's down to less than 100,000 after that call. Pretty demoralized look on her face, and who can blame her? That was a 2-outer on the turn she ran into. Was just hoping Eric had air or busted hearts.
Eric Seidel down 1-0 in this best of 3 final, but he proved in the semifinals that he can bounce back.
That was a pretty difficult spot I was in. Desperate times, Scotty.
All right, baby.
When you have second best hand heads up too many times, it can get pretty bad. Luckily, things picked up and I rallied in the end. The last hand was the biggest hand of the day for sure. The perfect card came on the end, 9. So when he bet out 100,000, I thought I could just move in and he might have to call because it's a very tough laydown.
Eric's all in.
All right, baby, I call.
Eric Seidel is on to the finals.
You got it, baby.
While Eric managed to come back after being out-chipped for most of that semifinal against Wynn, he was never in the sort of shape Annie's in here. It's pretty much a wrap.
Eric up over 13-1 in chips.
We have seen some incredible comebacks, though. Scotty Wynn against Phil Ivey, the first that comes to mind.
Annie goes all in with 7-4. King 10 for Eric. He'll call.
4-7 off, Randy Duke. King 10 off.
Annie's all in. Really has nothing to do with the fact that she has 7-4. It has to do with the fact that she's just breathing fumes at this point.
Let's take a look at the flop.
Needs to build her stack. She's got 2 live cards.
She pairs her 7. Eric with the gut shot straight draw.
Annie's in decent shape right now. The Jack is the disaster card. She'd be drawn dead if that showed up.
Here's the turn.
It's a queen. Annie's now got to fade more cards or else we're tied 1-1.
The 9 would
Here's the river.
counterfeit her 7s.